Dogs are fascinating creatures, often delighting us with their loyal companionship, unwavering enthusiasm, and sometimes rather puzzling behavior. Many of the little things they do each day can leave their human companions either laughing, confused, or wondering if there is some hidden canine logic at play. Take, for example, the way dogs tilt their heads when they hear a sound, follow their owners into the bathroom, or sniff other dogs' behinds with such dedication. To us, these things may appear odd or even amusing, but to them, each action has an evolutionary or behavioral purpose. Over the years, scientists and animal behaviorists have conducted extensive studies into canine behavior, and many of the explanations behind these seemingly strange actions are not only logical, but surprisingly complex. Let us begin with one of the most well-known and endearing behaviors, the famous head tilt. When a dog tilts its head upon hearing something unusual, it's not merely trying to look cute, though that is often the effect. Dogs hear differently from humans. Their ears are structured in a way that sometimes requires them to adjust their positioning to detect the source of a sound more accurately. By tilting their heads, they are fine-tuning their hearing to understand the sound's direction and frequency. Additionally, when a dog tilts its head and you respond with laughter, praise, or affection, it interprets this as positive reinforcement. In other words, you are rewarding the behavior without even realizing it. Over time, the dog associates this simple movement with your approval and is likely to continue doing it, not only because it's trying to interpret the sound, but because it has learnt that it brings your attention and affection, something dogs deeply value. Now, let's turn our attention to another behavior that often baffles owners, the way dogs dig at the ground after relieving themselves. Many people mistakenly assume that this action is an attempt to hide their feces, much like cats covering their waste in a litter box. However, dogs have a very different motivation. Being territorial animals, dogs rely heavily on scent as a means of communication. The pads of their paws contain scent glands, and by digging at the ground after defecating or urinating, they are actually spreading their unique scent across the area, effectively leaving an olfactory calling card for other animals. It's their way of saying, "I was here," and it communicates more than just their presence. Other dogs can learn a surprising amount of information from these scent markings. Age, health, stress levels, and even reproductive status can all be detected through scent. Both males and females engage in this behavior, which serves as an important part of how they establish territory, signal social status, and communicate with others of their kind. So the next time you see your dog doing what looks like a post-bathroom dance, remember that it's not being quirky for no reason. It's participating in an instinctive, age-old form of communication. Speaking of their bathroom habits, another peculiar behavior is their tendency to circle before relieving themselves. While it might look as though they are simply indecisive or playing with the grass, there's a deeper purpose to this ritual. For one thing, when dogs relieve themselves, they are in a vulnerable position. Instinctively, they want to ensure their surroundings are safe. Circling allows them to check the area for any potential dangers before they lower their guard. At the same time, this movement also gives them the chance to assess the comfort and texture of the ground. Is it soft enough? Is it free of sharp stones or prickly grass? On a biological level, this circling also serves to distribute their scent more effectively, leaving their mark before they even go. Perhaps most fascinating of all is the theory proposed by researchers that dogs may actually be aligning themselves with the Earth's magnetic field when they do their business. Studies suggest that they often position their bodies along a north-south axis, almost like they have an internal compass guiding their actions. Although scientists are still investigating this phenomenon, it offers a fascinating glimpse into just how finely tuned canine senses really are. Another behavior that owners frequently observe is dogs moving, twitching, or even running while asleep. It can be quite amusing to watch a dog's paws paddling in the air as if it's chasing an imaginary ball. This phenomenon is closely linked to the sleep cycle. Dogs, like humans, experience the REM, rapid eye movement phase of sleep. During this stage, they dream vividly, and their bodies may respond physically to what's happening in their dream world. A dog may be dreaming of playing fetch, running through a park, or interacting with another dog, and the muscles react accordingly, causing little kicks or movements. This behavior is completely normal and nothing to worry about. In fact, it's a good sign. It means your dog is entering a deep and restorative stage of sleep. Puppies and older dogs tend to display this more noticeably because their sleep cycles are often lighter and their muscle control slightly different from adult dogs, making their dream movements more visible. Now let's talk about a behavior that many dog owners find either adorable or slightly inconvenient: their tendency to follow you to the bathroom. For some people, this might feel like an invasion of privacy, but to a dog, it makes perfect sense. Dogs are social animals, wired to live in packs. In their minds, you are part of their pack, perhaps even the leader, and where the leader goes, the rest follow. This behavior can stem from simple affection. Your dog enjoys being near you and doesn't want to be left out of any activity, even something as mundane as going to the loo. It may also be an expression of protective instinct. Some dogs feel responsible for their owner's safety and will stay close, even at moments when you don't think you need guarding. In some cases, however, this attachment can be a sign of separation anxiety. If your dog becomes distressed, whines, scratches at the door, or paces nervously when you shut them out of the bathroom, it might indicate that they struggle to cope with being alone. Certain breeds, often called Velcro dogs, are particularly prone to this behavior. Over thousands of years of coevolution, these breeds have developed a close emotional bond with humans and tend to stick to their owners like glue. If you live with one of these clingy companions, you probably already know that personal space becomes a distant memory. Equally intriguing is the way some dogs stare intently at their owners while doing their business. While this might feel a bit awkward, it's actually quite meaningful. When a dog is relieving itself, it's in a vulnerable position. It can't run away easily or defend itself if danger appears. So what does it do? It looks to its pack leader, you, for reassurance and protection. This behavior harks back to their wild ancestors, who would rely on their pack to watch their backs during such moments. If you've ever made a big fuss over your dog for going outside as a puppy, giving it treats and praise, you may have unknowingly reinforced this behavior. The dog learns to associate this moment with your attention and approval, so the staring becomes part instinct, part learned association. Not all dogs do this, though. More confident, independent dogs may go about their business without feeling the need for reassurance, while more timid or anxious ones are more likely to lock eyes with you. Now we arrive at another behavior that almost every dog seems to adore: rolling. Whether it's on the grass, on your freshly cleaned carpet, or even in something unpleasant in the park, dogs love to roll around. This can serve several purposes. Sometimes it's simply a way to scratch an itch or stretch their muscles. In other instances, it's their way of spreading their own scent or masking it with another. Rolling in grass or other strong-smelling substances is an ancient instinct passed down from their wolf ancestors, who would mask their scent to approach prey unnoticed. It can also be a display of pure joy. Many dogs roll onto their backs and wiggle enthusiastically when they're happy and relaxed. When they do it on their backs with their paws in the air, they're showing vulnerability, which is a sign of trust and comfort around you and their environment. For dogs, rolling can also be a form of play, self-soothing, or even a subtle communication method. We could go on and on about the many curious quirks of dogs, their fascination with sniffing other dogs' behinds, their obsession with certain toys, their need to herd or guard even in domestic settings, and their incredible ability to detect emotions in humans. For instance, the well-known behavior of sniffing another dog's rear is not merely rude curiosity. It's their equivalent of a handshake or an introduction. Dogs have a remarkable sense of smell, and the scent glands located around the anus carry a wealth of chemical information, everything from the other dog's diet to their emotional state. When two dogs meet, this sniffing ritual allows them to quickly establish familiarity, hierarchy, and even mood. While humans rely heavily on verbal communication and facial expressions, dogs depend on scent. To them, it's a complex language, rich with information. Another common yet often misunderstood behavior is foot licking, particularly licking their owner's feet. Though it might tickle or feel slightly unpleasant, it is often a sign of affection, bonding, and submission. Licking is a way for dogs to communicate trust and attachment. In puppyhood, licking is how they interact with their mothers and litter mates, so it carries emotional significance. When your dog rolls in the grass, it is doing far more than simply playing. From an ancestral perspective, Rolling can serve as a clever tactic to mask its scent, a skill that was once vital for survival when dogs depended on hunting. Although domesticated dogs no longer need to hunt, the instinct to conceal their scent remains deeply ingrained, and it can also serve as a way to leave their mark for other dogs. Sometimes, however, rolling is far simpler. It might just be an attempt to rid themselves of an unpleasant smell, such as shampoo after a bath, or it could be a natural way for them to stretch their bodies and express sheer happiness. When a dog flips onto its back, it often signals a moment of pure joy, an unmistakable indication that it feels completely safe and content. Equally intriguing is the behavior of stealing items and running away, which, while exasperating for owners, is an activity packed with excitement for the dog and, in its own quirky way, can even be interpreted as a form of affection. Certain breeds, including golden retrievers, Yorkshire terriers, and papillons, are particularly prone to what one might call a playful kleptomania. It does not matter whether the object is a sock, a toy, or something more valuable. Dogs engage in this behavior simply because they find it enjoyable and wish to initiate play with their human companions. For some dogs, your belongings are viewed as enticing toys, and the chase that follows is thrilling, while for others, taking objects serves as a method of attracting attention, as they know which possessions you value and that retrieving them will prompt you to interact and spend time with them. In this sense, the act of stealing is not mere mischief, but a unique canine way of communicating, a way of saying, "Hey, play with me." And paradoxically, it may even be an expression of love. Stealing socks or underwear, while frustrating, could reflect a desire to be closer to you, immersing themselves in your scent, which is comforting and familiar to them. Essentially, these seemingly naughty acts are rooted in affection and interaction, revealing that your dog's mischief is not malicious, but an attempt to bond. Another behavior that falls under this category of affectionate interaction is licking your feet, a habit that many dogs enjoy, particularly when your feet carry strong odors. Although the idea may seem slightly off-putting to humans, for dogs this act is akin to a feast. The salty aroma of your sweaty feet is incredibly appealing to them. However, licking is not merely about taste. It is also an essential form of communication. Through licking, your dog can gather information about where you have been and what you have been doing, effectively reading the story of your day through scent. Moreover, these foot-licking sessions are often imbued with genuine affection, a canine way of demonstrating appreciation and closeness. Understanding this makes it easier to interpret the behavior not as something unpleasant, but as a heartfelt expression of love. Perhaps the most bewildering yet biologically significant behavior is dogs sniffing behinds, a practice that can apply to other dogs, cats, and even humans without hesitation or discrimination. While it may appear odd or embarrassing to us, this behavior is rooted in an extraordinary ability to collect vital information. When dogs sniff another dog's behind, they are not offering a simple greeting. Instead, they are accessing detailed data about the other animal, including its mood, familiarity, and even reproductive status. This olfactory investigation is crucial for social interactions among dogs, allowing them to understand who they are encountering and how they might respond. In some cases, dogs may extend this behavior to humans, sniffing our behinds to glean chemical signals emitted by apocrine glands, which contain information about our emotional state and identity. For dogs, behinds act as a sophisticated identification system. Sniffing is equivalent to reading an ID badge or a dossier, a means of establishing who someone is, how they are feeling, and what kind of social interaction is appropriate.